Aloha, I'm Daerick Lanakila from volcanoislandhaven.com and Daerick.com, here doing a Q&A for my clients and for anybody else who wants to know a little bit more about the work. So one of the questions that came in was how do you do this at a distance? How does distance healing work? And that's a really good question. And let's see where to go with that. So it's definitely a skill and a teachable skill. And I'm certainly not the only healer that does it. Many, many healers are able to do this, and certain healing modalities practice this almost explicitly. So this is nothing new to me. It's nothing new to the healing field, but it takes practice. It takes training. So I think the first thing that you have to be able to do and it is to be able to connect with someone and with a very specific individual, and to learn how to do that in a way that not only is accurate but is very effective. Definitely takes some practice. So we all do it. So we all connect with people that we know, people that we love, people we don't love. We all connect with people. So, for example, one simple example that many, if not everybody, has experienced is the ability when let's just say you're thinking about a friend, and all of a sudden that friend calls, or you run into that friend at the store or something like that. Now that's you connecting into the energy. That's you connecting into that energy regardless of where they are. So they could be around the world. They could be, next door. It doesn't matter. But at some level, you're actually feeling them, and there's some sort of connection. So that's a very simple answer about how we connect to individuals anywhere in the world, that all of us do. Now, as a practitioner, I've had to learn how to do that at a much higher level. So how do I connect with somebody who's anywhere around the world, and how does that energy transfer? We've all heard about people laying on hands and doing hands-on healing, and that kind of makes sense to us because there's a transference of energy from one person to the other through touch. So, that makes a lot of sense. But that same transfer, that same energy can go anywhere. It can go anywhere in the world with the right ability of focus and intention, because energy, as Einstein proved decades ago, that energy travels, I think, very close to the speed of light. So in other words, if energy is traveling through me to somebody around the world from me, it takes a millisecond to get there because of the distance and the almost speed of light. So there's almost no time difference, although technically there is a time difference, but it's negligible. It's not something that we can perceive because of really how close we are, although that sounds like it's a far away around the world. But when we're talking about the speed of light or close to it, that distance is very short. So whether I'm laying hands on somebody, whether I'm 5 inches away, allowing energy to transfer from my hands to that person, or whether I'm around the world, it doesn't really matter. As long as I can tune into that person, as long as I can focus on that person and have a connection. Now, for me, there's a lot of different ways I can have that connection. If I talk to somebody on the phone, regardless of anything else, of ever seeing them or anything, but if I talk to them on the phone, then I've got that connection with them, and I can reconnect to that at any time. If I have if I have enough individual information about that person that will direct me to them in this world, no matter where they are, but will be very very specific about who they are. So name, obviously, but that's, there's a lot of people who could have the same name, so I need more than that. Birth date. That's the next thing. And again, there could be, more than one person with the same name with the same birth date. So I always look for some other connection. So what is my other connection? Now that may be maybe a picture I've been sent. That may be a connection through a loved one. So maybe I'm doing the healing on a child of somebody. So I can connect through the parent. So as long as I know the parent, I know the child and the child's name and the child's birthday, now I've got something very specific. There is, nobody else. There's no other child with that same date and name connected with that particular person. So it's all about finding the right connection so that I can I know that I'm working with that person, or whether it's a parent or somebody. It doesn't really matter as long as I have enough information. Now it could be just a picture, just a photograph. So there's a lot of different ways that I can connect. And there's a lot of different ways that different people connect. But as long as I have that connection, then I can tune in. And when I tune into somebody and I connect to them, I begin to feel within my body what's going on. I begin to feel things of where I need to work depending on the goal. So I don't connect with somebody just to connect, just to see what's going on in general. Personally, I like something very specific because I could tune into somebody and there could be a million things going on with them, good, bad, indifferent. There's a lot of different things that can be going on with somebody. I don't want to tune into, they've got a wart and they've got a hangnail and they've got, this and that. So I don't want to be tuning into all these different crazy things that may mean nothing to them. Or may be very temporary. So when I tune into somebody, I'm tuning in with a goal in mind. So in other words, they've come to me and they've been diagnosed with something, or they have certain pains or things like that. So that becomes my door opener. That becomes my way of starting to have a map of what's going on. So now I'm looking at and talking to their body, mind, intelligence, and their higher self. And now I'm looking at what's connected with this. Okay, so they've come to me with a stomach pain. So what's connected with that? Now they may have a diagnosis. They may have a diagnosis that says endometriosis or something else like that. For me, that's just a starting point, because it's extremely important that I let go of that diagnosis, that I use it maybe as a doorway, but then I let go of it, because that diagnosis absolutely can be a box that blocks me in and causes me just to look at the diagnosis and the symptoms around that diagnosis. And I could do that and I could work on that and we could have improvement with that. But what's the cause of that? So somebody has been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. What's the cause of Parkinson's disease? What's the deeper? And I'm not looking for a name. I'm not looking for another diagnosis. I'm looking for the energy pattern that's underneath that. So that's why it's very important. So from a Western medicine standpoint, it's quite possible that Parkinson's is connected to XYZ, and that's where, from a Western medicine standpoint, they need to focus. Well, for me, there may be something completely different that's actually causing that, or possibly it's a misdiagnosis. Possibly there's things that are creating the same energy patterns and the same symptoms as Parkinson's. And so if I follow just that path, then I'm not really doing my clients any service. I could help them with relieve some symptoms, but I'm not really helping them get to the core of what's going on. So that's why it's important for me just to follow the energy, and knowing that John Smith has come to me to heal going back to the example, heal the pain in his stomach. Now I'm going to ask his higher self to show me what I need to work on in order to most further that healing. And that's where the journey becomes very interesting, because now I could be led in all kinds of different areas of the body and places that I would have no idea how this is connected. I would have no idea that this is even connected from a logical standpoint. A lot of it makes no sense whatsoever, and so I have to let go of my logic and just feel is where I start. Feel where to go. So knowing that John has come to me to heal the pain that's going on in his stomach. Now I'm looking at, okay, how can I most further John's goals? So that's always what I'm going after, is what are your goals and how do I help to further that? And that's where it becomes a very interesting journey, and why I love my work, because it's always so fascinating, because I could be led to something going on in his brain. I could be led to something going on in his in his kidneys that's causing it. And I have that makes no sense to me. But I know that I need to go to those areas and work on those areas. And those areas may not be the core cause of what's going on. Those areas may be one of the dominoes that I need to topple over in order to get to the core cause, or in order to help his body heal the core cause. So that's just on a physical level. So on an emotional level, I'm also looking at what's the deeper emotion, the deeper fear, the deeper belief, the deeper pattern that may be going on from an emotional level that's actually furthering this dis-ease in John's body. Is there something that's actually furthering that? Maybe when John was a child, the only way he would get love and attention was when he was sick. Maybe his mom pretty much ignored him anytime except when he got sick, and then he got showered with love. So on some deeper level, John may be looking for that love. So through being sick. And if I don't address that, then there's a part of him that will continue to hold on to that disease. There's a part of him that'll continue to be in resistance to the healing that's going on. So that's why I'm also looking at the emotional connection. It may not be the cause. That emotional connection may not be the cause of why John is having pain in his stomach, but it's certainly contributing to the energy that's going on. It's certainly contributing to the desire to keep that around, or the desire to have that on even a subconscious level. You may, on every part of your consciousness, not want that going on, but there may be something subconsciously that's feeding off of it as well. That absolutely is getting something from it. So sometimes the question to ask is, how much of me wants to get better? What percentage of me wants to get better? And stop and listen and see if you can hear an answer. Maybe you hear 80%. That's pretty damn good. Now listen to that 20%. So what part of me doesn't want to get better, and listen to what that is, and you can start probing and asking questions, and sometimes you'll get an answer, sometimes you won't. That just takes some practice and some work to go down that avenue. But if you continue to ask, eventually, every day, if you ask that question of yourself, what is it that's holding me back? What emotion or belief or story that I have going on is holding me back from healing even faster? So I'm not saying that's going to stop your healing, but it's certainly, by addressing it, will allow for a quicker healing, and it'll allow for possibly a deeper healing. And by addressing that emotional pattern, it's potentially going to help you from creating other things going on. So, for instance, with that same pattern of, this is, being sick is connected to getting love. We could heal the issue that John has come to me right now, but maybe in a year or two he creates something else to be sick and some other thing. So because of that pattern, so that's why it's very important for me when I do my work to take a look at what the emotional connection is. Now, I won't know the story like I just shared with you. I won't know that, oh, this is because this is how John got love when he was a child, but I will know that in some way that is connected to his healing, and I'll know that I need to work on that. I'll feel that in a certain part of his body that I need to work on it. And often your body will hold that memory or hold that emotion in a certain part of your body. So often that's held in the chest or the throat area. That's where I most see those kind of emotional patterns being held. But they can be held in other parts of your body as well. But that's why with some of you, you've noticed that, oh, I keep working on some of the same areas because there's different layers, there's different depths, and I may be called to continue working in that particular area because of the different layers or depths of what's happening there. So I may come back to the brain again and again and again every treatment because there's just more layers going on and more work to be done. That doesn't mean the work that I did is not being effective. It's just another level of healing with that. Okay, let's see what else to talk about that with distance healing. I mean, there's a lot of information out there on distance healing and how it works, and it can be different with everybody. So certainly you can go on the internet and do lots of searching if it's really important for you to learn, well, how does this work and why does it work? And that's your logical mind trying to figure that out. And if you need that, then do some research, and you can dive down the rabbit hole of quantum physics, which will thoroughly explain how energy works and how energy works from a distance and how energy passes right through the earth and right through physical matter. And or you could just say, well, you know what? I don't see radio waves, and they work. I can be driving in my car and turn on the radio wherever I am, and all of a sudden there's music or somebody talking, and I don't see those, and I don't know how that works, but it works. Or the same thing with TV or satellites or your cell phone. How do you talk to somebody around the world live, and your phone's not connected to anything? So that's another example of energy. That's just a very well explained and scientifically based way of doing it. And but 100 years ago, or even 30 years ago, with our cell phones, that wasn't possible. That we weren't able to do that. So this is just energy healing and distance healing. I really believe that at some point science will be able to explain it even better than they can right now. Science will be able to duplicate it, I believe, at some point, because they already do to some degree. They understand vibration and they understand energy, and in fact, every medication actually has a vibratory frequency attached to it. So they understand that there's a vibration of plants and of extracts and of factory made pills that's important, and that vibration does something within our body and specifically creates certain relief and certain symptoms and certain side effects as well. So yes, I think at some point what I'm doing, it's to some people it seems magical and it seems miraculous, and And sometimes it seems that way to me too, because I don't understand all of it either. I know it works. I know how to do what I do, but I don't usually know all the whys. I often don't have all the understanding or the whys of how this works and what it's actually doing. That's why when I work on somebody, that it often, even though I might be focused on certain areas, there's often much more going on than I'm ever seeing. There's often many more things that are happening, other parts of the body that are healing, other things that are going on that are in alignment with what needs to happen in order for you to heal. And I have to let go of needing to know all of that, needing to know all of the exact whys and hows and all of that, and just trust that I'm guided to certain areas. And I probably won't ever know exactly why I'm guided to work in your brain when it's a stomach issue. Although nowadays, science has finally figured out that there's a direct connection between the gut and the brain. And there's a lot of connection, and they call the gut the second brain, or the stomach the second brain, because there's a lot more going on down there than they ever realized. So, it's a magical time that we all live in, where things that weren't true or we didn't believe in are becoming just normal things now. So hang in there. Whatever you got going on, it's likely there's an answer for it, and there's a way to get through it. And of course, I'll do what I can with it. But whether it's me or whether it's somebody else, there's a lot of different things out there that can help. And I encourage you to not give up hope and to keep doing all you can do to heal, because you deserve to live a healthy life. You deserve to be able to do the things that you want to do. And it's not necessarily going to be an easy path. It may take a while and it may take a lot to get there, but I really believe you can get there. And if I can help, then I'd be honored. And that's part of my mission here. So thanks for listening in, and we'll talk again next week. Aloha.